In the past 2 weeks, my parts and I have shared over 100 Patreon posts. It is absurd. And there was not a sense of pride with all we had accomplished. Before, when we were posting a lot, it didn't matter as much if people didn't respond to all of our postings because we were posting for us. But somewhere that got lost, and we were posting as if it was a job and we were showing up for a job, except we weren't getting paid anymore from posting more. And I think that's taken a toll on my parts. And I, it's hard to even talk about this. I feel like I'm not allowed to talk about this. I don't know why. Yeah, there's a little thought eraser just coming up and erasing whatever I'm about to say. When it comes down to the ultimate survival of my subconscious, the goal is to find a way to have an income so we can be in a home where we feel safe all the time, not just sometimes. And Patreon's been our investment, and we're with all the dissociation, it's kind of like the logic has been, if I can just keep posting on Patreon, then I'll be okay. Like, I think that's what was happening. I think that's what my subconscious was understanding our reality to be, was that if we could just keep posting on Patreon, we'd somehow be okay. We'd somehow have more patrons. We'd somehow have more money. We'd somehow have more power. We'd somehow stop feeling as trapped as we are. But that's not the case. And so now it's like we've been working overtime and are just as stuck as we've always been. And I think that's what's happening. I knew we'd posted a lot, but I actually went back through and counted, and we've shared over 100 posts in barely a 2-week period. What is today? Today's the 16th. So yeah, in 16 days, barely over 2 weeks, in 16 days, we've shared over 100, I think it was like 120, 130 or something. Over 100 posts in 2 weeks. And it's like, I try to switch my brain to thinking about the stuff that will bring me joy or bring me pleasure or bring me new ideas that can help me get to somewhere new, instead of just being here going in circles with the same ideas I already have. And it doesn't work because that part of my brain doesn't work. I can't make it switch what it's paying attention to. And so if it's paying attention to create posts for Patreon so we can get paid, that's all it's ever thinking about, all day, every day. Even when creepy ass sheriff, why do you do that? Why do you drive up and down the street just to fuck with people's heads? It's the same fucker that was driving this street at 3 a.m, following me around. Yeah, fucking people of the law, my fucking ass. There's just other shitty human beings needing some fucking power trip. I fucking hate this planet, this whole planet. I can't stand it. I cannot stand living on this fucking planet. I can't. I don't like to share this stuff either. I want to share things that are helpful, and crying isn't helpful, so that when I start to cry, we go in and we shut it down. No, that's not helpful, don't do it. And then we get mad at ourselves for it. And it's just, I can't control my brain. And the fact that I'm supposed to makes me lose my shit. Because the things that help me control my brain are things like self-harm. And so to be sitting here like, how am I supposed to be okay with this, you know? Like, and so my mind keeps getting stuck because we're not going anywhere. We're not making any more money. We're not getting any new people. We're not we're not actually changing where we are. We're in the same spot we've been in for 1.5 years, where we're making content and hoping people come find it somehow. Just sitting here in my truck, sobbing, recording video for Patreon. It's exactly where it was 1.5 years ago. I'm not any happier than I was then. I'm not anything. And then I realize how bullshit that is, because a lot of my life has changed and I have a lot of reason to be happy, and then realizing I can't access that happiness just makes me feel guilty and ashamed. And I'm like, well, if this is life being good and I still can't feel even remotely okay, then there's nothing I can do for healing. There's nothing I can do that's gonna change this, clearly. Made over 100 posts for Patreon in the last 2 weeks. And I just feel like nobody cares. Like I feel like I'm supposed to be getting new patrons somehow. I feel like I'm supposed to be making more money. I feel like I'm supposed to be able to save more and get the adult things done that I need to get done, because money is no longer my primary stressor, and I can't get there. My brain is stuck and I can't get it unstuck, and that makes me wish I was fucking dead. And I'm sorry for wishing that, but it's where I'm at. When we make Patreon posts, our mind is saying we're doing our job, we're showing up and we're doing our job. I can't get my brain to understand that we're not just showing up for life to work. We're not just showing up to get a job done. But that's all life is to this brain and this body. And if there's not a simple task to get done, like right now, there's a lot of complex things I could be working on. There's not one thing that I can just get done. Like, maybe there is, but the way that my mind perceives things and understands things and process things and can access knowledge of projects and even the ability to understand my to-do list when I'm reading them, it's all gone right now. So my brain thinks that we're showing up every day to do work, but that work isn't getting us anywhere. That work is not changing anything in our life. And it's not enjoyable either. And so it's just work. That's all it is. It's just work. It's not work to make an income. It's not work to build a business. It's not work to chase your passion. It's just work. And I felt so proud of the posts when we made them, but that's because in my mind, making them was me doing my job, and if I do my job, then my needs will be met and cared for, and I'll feel okay. And it's all this logic that my brain understands that I have no ability to influence, even if I don't agree with it. That's what's happening. And so my brain is putting in so much effort into endless Patreon posts, but because there's so many, patrons aren't even looking at them, and I don't blame them at all. Over 100 posts in 2 weeks? Are you fucking kidding me? I would definitely unsubscribe from that email. I had no idea we'd posted so much. And so here we are, like, we're so excited to share this. We finally did our job, when really we've already done our job, and now we're just overwhelming our patrons and not getting anything done that we actually need to get done. And I can't adjust what my mind focuses on because of this disorder. And so even when I'm relaxing my mind to say, well, what can we post on Patreon? What can we post on Patreon? And it's almost this obsessive, just endless train of thought that just keeps going. I cannot choose what my brain focuses on, and if it's focused on something that's not bringing us any change of emotional experience, we're extra stuck. My eucalyptus branch. We're extra stuck. And talking about it helps. I'm glad we are taking this opportunity to voice things. We haven't done this in a while. We haven't been raw on video in a while. Not like this. My brain is in survival and says that we can't enjoy things, so we need to get stuff done. And the only thing that I have the mental capacity to get done is creating posts for Patreon. And so I can't do the work with the courses I'm in. I'm in like 4 different courses, and I can't do the work for them that I really want to do. I can't do my own creative projects. I can't build my concepts for Healing Journey Homeschool. I can't work on my speech. I can't work on the dissociative identity movement. I can't enjoy conversations with friends. I can't enjoy relaxing and watching a TV show. I can't clean and get stuff done in that physical capacity. I can't exercise and get stuff done in that physical capacity. I can't eat and fuel and nourish my body. I can't do anything. It's stuck in create Patreon posts so that we can be okay. But creating posts doesn't make us any more okay, so we just keep creating and then getting so upset that we're still not okay. And this probably has to do with the neural pathways that were formed when we were creating Patreon. When we were first creating Patreon, it was our last result. If we don't get patrons, we're gonna kill ourselves kind of a thing. It was pretty rough. And at that point, thoughts probably were like this. Thoughts probably were like, okay, what content can I create so that I can make money so that I don't die? Maybe that's the loop that we're stuck in. That would actually make a lot of sense. Perhaps this is just a part that I haven't worked with a lot, and so it's hard to recognize the distinction. Perhaps it's a blending combo I haven't experienced before. Perhaps I don't know, but this week we did endonasal cranial therapy 4 days in a row, for the 4th time in the past year, and then yesterday our regular body adjustments, and then last week it was bilateral brain balancing. And so with the bilateral brain balancing last week, it felt like parts had gained co-consciousness overnight. And then with the endonasal cranial therapy this week, I felt the opposite. I felt like the split between left and right brain hemispheres was more dramatic, obvious, more noticeable, less subtle. And then we were trying to just like survive and get by. And then with the bilateral brain balancing, there were more flight parts out. And we couldn't get that under control. Like once it hits 72 hours of flight parts being out, it's officially a manic episode for us. Like what we understand our normal to be. And so it had hit that 72-hour mark. Normally it comes for like a day or two. Like a 10-hour window or like a 24-hour window or something, and we expel the energy and we work with the part and we process and release, ground, and it works out okay. Like it's up and down and it's tough, but it doesn't stay in that state. But it wasn't getting managed, it wasn't getting regulated, and so we started the endonasal cranial therapy, and I was like, okay, maybe this is going to snap us into stability. But it kind of just, and it did. It decreased the presence of flight parts within 2 days. 2 days, within halfway through the treatment of that particular thing, it was, the flight parts were decreased. It was not as unmanageable. But then the depression started to come. And it was only yesterday that it went from a very passive depression with passive suicidal ideations. And when I say passive suicidal ideations, it's the kind of like, I just kind of don't want to exist right now kind of feeling. Like nothing active, not like, I want to die. It's not like that. It's this very passive, I just kind of don't really want to exist right now. I just really wish I wasn't here. Like, very passive. So it was like that. And that's fairly normal for us. And so we weren't too concerned. We were coping with it well. But then yesterday it slipped from passive to active. And it was this very passionate, all-consuming, I need to die feeling. And with that, it's scary because I don't have the mental capacity to understand that I am more than that moment. With passive suicidal ideations, there's some small, teeny portion in the back of my mind, of my consciousness, that can say, this too shall pass. And there's just some deeper part that's like, maybe this isn't going to be forever. Like, even if I'm not hopeful, I'm curious. Like, maybe it won't always be like this. But then when it goes active, it's like, I can look at every piece of my past and every prospect of my future and hate it. Like, deeply, genuinely, thoroughly, passionately want nothing to do with it except destroy it and be done with it forever. It's not just the things that have happened, but life as a whole. And it's definitely a disconnect from reality, because I know I'm not here. I know I'm not here listening to the rain as it falls right now. I know that as the rain falls right now, it's just causing chaos in my brain, rather than allowing it to just be part of my experience. And so, like, I can tell I'm not here, but at the same time, nothing's working. Like, normally when I can tell I'm not here, I'll do XYZ and experience some kind of relief, some kind of decrease of intensity. But that's not happening. Everything is just the same. No matter what I do, I'm still stuck. And no matter what I do, switched. Like, normally if I can just get out of bed, I'm good. I can stay out of bed. But like this morning, every 20 minutes I was curled up in a ball back in bed, pulling my blinds down, curling up in a ball, pulling my covers over my head. And that normally does not happen. Like, even on the worst of days, that normally does not happen. And so it's signs. But now that I'm talking about some of this, I'm thinking maybe this is more logical and okay than we think. Because if the bilateral brain balancing opened up new doors for parts to communicate, and then the endonasal cranial therapy was giving our head adjustments, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And potentially Felicity is gaining access to parts like Roxy and Lila and Coral for the first time. Potentially. Before, it was always a complete dissociative switch. And just with the way things are manifesting now, it makes me feel like this is less of a dissociative switch. Like, I'm still really, really, really dissociated. I'm still not grounded in who I really am. But it's almost like Felicity has an increased capacity to observe what's happening instead of being totally protected from it. So potentially that's a thing. And whether it's causing this chaos or whether it's just a part of the experience of it, it's a sign of progress, I suppose. There's another thing I was gonna say, but it left my brain. Yeah, yesterday, I think Felicity had co-consciousness with Coral for the first time. And today, maybe Felicity's having co-consciousness with Lila for the first time. A lot of these really mirror Lila's symptoms. She's our only freeze part, as far as I understand. I'm glad we talked. I'm glad we worked through some of this. Maybe we need to take like a 2-week break from Patreon. I think it would feel really unnatural and it would feel like we're abandoning things. But if we can communicate this accurately, effectively with our patrons and have them be aware that we're not going to post for a couple weeks, then maybe we can feel okay with taking a break. Maybe posting as frequently as we have has limited our mind's ability to focus on anything else. Maybe if we step back for like 2 weeks, just the rest of February, since we clearly have enough content for February, over 100 fucking posts. Absurd. So let's delete the Patreon app, log off on the computer, take a break. Being on Patreon, Kristen, being on Patreon every single day is not making you get more patrons. It's not an automatic thing. It doesn't happen that way. Spending all your time on Patreon doesn't mean that other people are going to magically find you. Spending all your time worrying about Patreon doesn't mean that your next paycheck's going to be any bigger. Spending all your time on Patreon doesn't mean that you're any closer to launching your life coaching business. I know it's hard to switch what you focus on in your brain. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen instinctively. It doesn't happen naturally. It doesn't happen automatically the way it's supposed to. But maybe if we're intentional about shifting our focus in the next 2 weeks, it will help make the radical change that we need. Because this is not okay. The things that we're feeling are not okay. The quality of our life right now is not okay. We're failing on, or we're falling short on all of the goals we set for this year. And that's because our focus is not spread out the way we intended it to be. And if we can only have one strict focus like this, it can't be something we're doing for other people that's not automatically bringing us anything. It's not bringing us joy creating it, and it's not increasing the amount of money we make. And so to put all of our energy in it the way that we have been is feeding our depression. And so we need to find a way to have the brain switch the attention it's giving, switch the task it's putting the attention on. Because it doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen when we tell it to. It might take several days or several weeks to switch what the brain is focusing on because of the way my brain works with this disorder. But we can't give up. We can't just keep doing the same things and be mad that there's no change. So let's create a post. We could even share it with this video. We need to take a break from Patreon. Will we lose patrons because of this? I hope not. But we can't place dependencies on this. We can't say that we're only going to take care of ourselves when other people support it. We can't say that we're only going to take care of ourselves when we don't have to sacrifice anything to do that. We have to put ourselves first even when it feels really crappy. even when it feels wrong. So all the energy's been going into Patreon, wanting that to help create substantial life change, wanting that to help bring us to a place of financial independence and mental freedom, and it's not happening. So we can be insane and keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results, or we can choose sanity and we can choose to change our place of focus and just ride that wave to the next place of our journey. So thank you for being here. If you made it through this video, I'm proud of you. Thank you for sharing the journey. I'm sorry we've posted so much. I'm not really sorry, because it's a lot of high quality, high value content. I'm not sorry. But I am sorry that I have been exhausting myself for nothing. I need to be more wise with my energy. And I cannot let the disorder take that power from me.